even in Breaking, look what Ozone and Turbo was wearing.
Yeah.
We had
Look at Africa Bambaataa.
Had on a midriff.
Ain't no stopping us.
They always say Prince was the only one in heels that got one.
Next up, my man David. Davidius Chappelle.
Clever.
Davidius
Chappelle and
Davidius.
Like he said, what he called what's that? Oh my God.
Shoes.
He said Jussie Smollett.
Juicy Smollett.
Juicy. He called him Juicy.
Juicy Smollett. Why they trying to come for Dave? Why they trying to get Dave canceled? And Netflix came out was just like, yeah, we had to let go of some Netflix employees that basically had an issue with Dave.
They came into a meeting.
Yeah, no, that's why.
So they came in there and they were like, listen, we are not happy with Dave's comedy show, and you need to take it down immediately. And it was like, oh, really? Well, you out of here.
But the thing is with Netflix, this isn't the first time they've been asked to take stuff down. I remember the documentary of the young girls, then twerking. I forgot the name.
The movie. It was a movie. It wasn't a documentary. It was
okay.
They did, and the thing with that is
they asked them to take it down.
The problem with that goes back to Dave's content. And if people listen to the content, and yeah, some of the jokes may have been tasteless, but he's a comedian.
Right.
And this is what comedians have done, has always done, continue to do. I don't see it ever stopping. I mean, let's think of some of the things that
Dave said stuff about everybody.
Well, what's his name? Andrew Dice Clay. He said a lot of things that was off the cuff. I mean, but with the Netflix situation and with the movie you was just referring to, so many people had so much to say about, oh, they need to take that off with these little girls. This is something that actually happened.
I know.
It's what they did have the dance team. Like these are things that do exist.
Right.
So it wasn't about, oh, they showing little girls shaking and whining. There were little dance troops that do exist with young girls who are whining and shaking, and that's what's happening. And if y'all look at half the freaking, so that means that TikTok needs to be banned.
Because
TikTok, Snapchat,
Instagram,
Facebook, Twitter.
If y'all see the dances on TikTok and the twisting of the legs and all of that, so
do what they do on Twitter, TikTok. Do it. What they do?
My 7-year-old granddaughter, every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But see,
but Lizzo did a TED Talk about twerking.
Yeah.
And we all know that as little girls, I used to be the life of the party that my parents threw. I was 5 years old winding up my waist for the adults.
Now, I was dancing for people at 5, but I was never winding up. I was tasteful.
Church. You was in church with the dance ministry.
We were little church.
My mama had me dancing to the jazz band.
Sweetie Pie.
Tisha,
I don't know about you as a kid, but I know me as a kid, we was always on the dance floor too.
Yep.
But
being fresh.
Back to Dave. If people really listen to his content without the naysayers saying what he said or what he did without watching it, and he actually touched on it. He actually spoke about how are you mad at someone if you didn't even watch it?
Exactly.
But that was the whole thing. There's so many people saying, I didn't see it, but
from what I saw,
see it, but the parts that I saw or the parts that I was told,
the clips I saw on social media,
you know, but it doesn't give you the whole context. Why aren't people speaking about Daphne?
Because they didn't watch
folks are really not speaking of.
They didn't watch it, so
they need to.
They
need to say her name. They honestly need to say her name
because people is trying to say Daphne didn't kill herself because of her tweets that she put out in support. That's not why she killed herself. And I'm sure that Daphne had other things happening in her life. And I'm being respectful, referring to Daphne as her.
Her, yes.
There's always a last straw. There's always a last straw for everyone.
Always, right. Exactly. There's always a final, I can't do this anymore.
And was that the thing to push her over the edge? Because it was from her own people.
Exactly.
Dave actually had enough class to say, now I don't know if that was
he did
why.
Say,
but like any other group, there's always dissension amongst the group. I know personally, I'm 50 years old. So I know, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, but I know gay men that don't like other gay men because they're too femme.
We talked about that on the last show.
So, but this is the thing. So there are gay men, and I don't know if I'm using the right words, forgive me. And it's not that I'm not respectful enough to do the history and understand, or not even history, because I know history up until a certain point, but it's not that I'm not taking the time out to refer to people in the proper context, because you know what? A lot of people don't take the time out to learn and how to speak about and to women.
Right.
Sorry. So, but not sorry. But I've seen it, I've heard it, I've worked with people who've actually complained about, why does he have to be such a bitch? Like, dude. And I'm like, right. So the same way we say all Black people aren't the same and all white people aren't the same, everyone who is a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, they're not all the same.
Right.
No, they're not all the same. We watched Flame Monroe, and I don't know if everyone saw.
I love Flame.
Remember when Flame Monroe was on The Breakfast Club, and she spoke about the fact that she got problems with the alphabet kids too. Right. Because she is of a generation where she was a tranny.
Right.
When they were allowed to be called tranny back then.
She was a tranny.
Right.
That's her era and that's her generation.
Right.
And younger people think she's disrespectful to their community. So is that not a part of her community?
Right.
And again, if you speak to older people who were at a certain time, that's how they refer to certain, they use different words.
That group, Dave
Stonewall.
Stonewall, yeah.
We were lesbians, we were homosexuals, we were bisexuals.
Yes.
Derogatory terms were faggot, but faggot always wasn't a derogatory term because gay men will call each other faggot.
Right.
Respect me for not being as educated as I should be, because there are a ton of questions, like so many of us have, and I think so many of us are fearful of asking the question Many of us are confused. I'll be honest with you, I'm very confused. But I can tell you what I'm confused about. I'm confused with what's the non-binary. I am confused with non-binary. I am. I'm just confused. And
So you know how I think, you know what I think that, you know how I think Flame feels? It's kind of how we feel with the hip hop community. Like this was what, you know, I literally grew up in, and this is what I helped birth. You know what I'm saying? And then you here go to you young Thundercats coming in here, they're trying to do over this hip hop game. The hip hop game is what the hip hop game is, and you supposed to follow suit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Flame feels that way because she's just like, hey, I'm one of the originators.
Original,
You know
right?
what I'm saying? I'm not a duplicator. So I came up in a time when it was this, that, and the third. Now I'm all open. I'm open arms with you, but you're not gonna tell me how to be me.
Right.
I came up in a time, it's like I came up in a time when I heard stories of men who were being arrested for having escapades with other men.
Right.
Those are the things that we learned and we knew. And this generation, I don't even know if they really know the history of things that have happened. They could throw Stonewall. Yeah, but Stonewall. Okay, tell me the true history of Stonewall.
Stonewall. Yep.
Explain to me how that came about and what actually happened,
right.
and the remnants of it. Just don't say Stonewall. What does that mean?
Yeah, what was the gentleman's name that Philadelphia was based after? With Tom Cruise, who played the heck out of that role.
Tom Hanks, not Cruise.
Wrong Tom.
Wrong Tom. The other one.
Sorry. But
the other Tom.
Canceled.
I'm canceled. Right there, I'm canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled right there. But the movie Philadelphia was Denzel. I know it was Denzel.
Yes.
But you had people like him that had to pave ways and had to, you know, go through hell, literally. Now you're just like, I'm genderless. I'm they, them.
Remember when he was talking about Daphne, when Daphne said she's having a human experience?
A human experience.
Right. So, you know, one of the things about his comedy skit, he was very clever.
Very.
Dave always has a message. And so
always
chose not to watch it, whether they were gay or not. If they chose not to watch it and judge it, shame on them.
I mean, you can be hurt by some of the things that he said, and I get it. I mean, we've heard a lot of comedic skits that were hurtful to us women.
Yeah.
He called us bitches.
Wait, and he said the only thing you gotta do is suck his.
Right.
Yeah, like we could have been like boycott Dave, but no.
I think a lot of younger people today, some do understand and some don't understand. But once upon a time, it wasn't as, and I don't want to say the word easy, because I do believe that more people are open and understanding to sexual orientation in a way that they weren't 50 years ago.
I think it's just you love who you love.
But
who cares?
But
it's like again, that's your business.
Okay, but so let's go. So let's think of this. Harvey Milk. Harvey Milk did fight for and to help pass laws to not discriminate for sexual orientation. But let's think about this. Let's think about this. Harvey Milk wasn't open about his sexuality until the age of 40.
Mm-hmm.
Let's consider that.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Let's consider Harvey Milk lived in New York, moved to San Francisco at a time when a lot of homosexuals, because that's what they were at that time. We were homosexuals and we were lesbians.
Right.
At that time, there was a migration to San Francisco. Harvey Milk was a part of that migration to San Francisco.
Mhm.
Okay. And he did things for his community. But people didn't know that Harvey Milk was a gay man. He wasn't open about it until age of 40. So, but just think about, you have 13-year-olds coming out to their parents now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You have children at the age of 3 who are telling their mommies that I identify as a girl, or I identify as a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about how 50 years ago, if you told your mommy that I don't want to, your mother would whoop your tail.
Mm-hmm.
There are more mothers today who are actually supporting their children.
Sure.
Yeah.
And are in support of their children, and are going through the whole gender assignment where they are referring to their sons as she,
Mm-hmm.
and their daughters as he.
That's he.
My son, my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen. You know, just think about when we wanted to teach kids about Jane has 2 dads and Jane has 2 moms. A lot of people were up in arms, and I can tell you that was like 30 years ago.
Sesame Street.
That was like 30 years ago when people were saying how important it was, and there were so many people like, oh, hell no, my kid don't need to learn that. Why wouldn't your kid need to learn that if they see that their classmate has
Jane has 2 dads, or Jane
that
has
is how they live,
right.
or their classmate has 2 dads, and you're like, that shit ain't right, that shit ain't right. So now you're telling your child that their playmate lives in a house that ain't right.
Right.
But we're seeing more families together. However, we still don't understand because, and I want to use cisgender people, not all cisgender people understand the LGBTQIA plus.
The point Dave was trying to make, and he said, you know, I'm actually jealous of you guys because you guys made so much.
Make it so far.
We just talked about how they were called faggots not that long ago, and now it's to the point where you can't say nothing about them,
right?
Or you get canceled. So he said, I'm actually jealous of y'all because y'all made so much progress. He said a lot of Black people want to know how that movement that you guys have done is phenomenal, you know.
You know what was very interesting to me though with DaBaby, and when he used the fact that DaBaby, shot someone in Walmart.
It wasn't self-defense.
But him shooting someone in Walmart wasn't as bad as him
saying something.
And the line he said was, and he said, you see where I'm going with this.
So then is there truth that the gay agenda is white-led?
Well, you heard when he asked, he said, is it possible that a gay person could be racist?
Right.
But he really touched on some issues that needed to be addressed because society has been tiptoeing around this group, and I respect them because I'm like, I commend them. They doing what we as Black people should have been
doing. Yeah, definitely.
At this point in 2021, no one should be able to crack their lip and say nigger. No one. If you say faggot right now, see what happens to you.
The world, the storm, the rain.
Because at the end of the day, a gay white man is still a white man.
Yeah.
So that white man in the boardroom,
white male is a white male is a white male.
Who he loves, he still has.
Because who you choose to love doesn't come in the boardroom with you.
Nope, it does not. But
it's your whiteness and your gender.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Who has more protection from society, or who has more protection
in society?
A Black gay man or a Black man?
A Black gay man.
Gay man.
And so I had a discussion with a Black man, and he said it's sad that our Black men have to go that route. He said he's not dogging out the gay community, but it's like
he's just saying that he's more protected.
The Black Coalition said that they wanted the show to be pulled from Netflix as well.
But they didn't say anything about him calling us bitches.
Because I guess they feel like we are bitches. I guess we are bitches. Who knows?
I'm just saying, like they didn't say anything about us. Like
I don't know. But I saw Demi Lovato, and I love her.
I love her.
Yeah. She was on a talk show about a week ago or something. About a week ago. Hey, Bobby's murder, but that's another story. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, music. Sorry, but she said, "Yeah, I just came out as non-binary.
Yeah,
I changed my pronoun to they them.
Right.
Now you know what? Applaud Demi for her coming out.
Right.
But I understand the whole pronoun thing, but you can't change biology. You know what I'm saying? Like, because now you going into you messing with God. You know what I just feel like that. And Black people,
now you're going into that territory that we saw J.K. Rowling go into.
Right.
And that's what I was getting to, because they
said
the
whole backlash, but look at the backlash.
With the whole thing.
She wrote 89 episodes of Harry Potter, and then said something about you can't change gender, and then they were just like canceled.
Like they say women don't have periods, people do. No,
bruh. Nah, B.
Women.
You cannot.
Let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna start telling everybody I got an 800 credit score.
Because now,
that's how I feel.
Exactly. Because now,
when I go apply for that house, I know what you on paper, but I got an 800 score. Give me my house.
I am a multi-billionaire. I am a multi-billionaire, and I own houses and land in the French Riviera.
In San Tropez.
That's where it is.
But since when?
That's how you feel. And nobody can tell you that what you
can't nobody tell me that I don't. Damn it.
Clearly.
But
you got a 600 or 500 credit score.
Girl.
You only got an 800 in your mind.
I am a multi-billionaire.
But so
y'all hear me, YouTube?
The definition of cancel culture is if I disapprove
of what you say.
Of what you say or do. When did we become this monolithic group of people that everybody has to agree and think the exact same thing?
Listen, I'm going to say this right here. Who you choose to love is your business. I do not care. You know what I'm saying? But when you start to say that I am not a woman and that my biology, the way that I was made, is not that of a woman or a female because of the fact that now it's a genderless society. No, I have a womb.
Like you're taking
a God-made vagina.
Like when I think of stuff like that, I just think of how they saying, like, I go back to people have periods. You're actually taking the significance out of what I could do as a person. Right. What I can do.
And what we go through. And what we go through.
And what we go through.
So you're stuff that nobody else on this planet can go through.
So you're taking out the significance and the beauty of me just to satisfy somebody else, just because they feel as if they're another gender.
So, Yvette, you know what? I'm gonna just leave that alone.
Part of the community. That's all you gotta say. You're part of the community.
Okay, Eve, you're a part of the community.
Here's the thing. So,
so
as a gender fluid person,
I'm trying to think of these definitions. I'm sorry.
You like who you like.
Right.
Okay. You like who you like. So if you're attracted, if you see a young man that you're attracted to, you'll rock with him. You see a young woman that you're attracted to, you'll rock with her. But don't go for some young people. Just go for some older people. But what I'm saying,
a little change.
You know, I love older. You know, I love them older. But go
what
ahead.
I'm saying is, you like who you like.
Right. And it's okay.
It's okay. But don't take away my experience as a woman. And like Dave said when he talked about Caitlyn Jenner, you know what? She may be a beautiful person. You know what?
But how is she Woman of the Year?
After a year of being a woman,
disrespecting everything that we've gone through to become an athlete.
But here's my question now, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but Caitlyn lives her life as a woman.
Yes.
That doesn't date men. What about the women that are dating men? I think it's disrespectful to transgender women. I think it's disrespectful to transgender women that Caitlyn Jenner could be Woman of the Year. But we give transgender women a hard time.
But because she was originally a white.
Is it because it white?
Caitlyn doesn't, I don't think Caitlyn dates men.
So, you know, okay, so one thing I'm noticing with that whole community, and I think this was where all the confusion comes in. Like, let's use Flame Monroe. Flame Monroe is a tranny, well, was a tranny, now she's a transgender, who had children.
Does she identify as transgender?
She says she's a tranny, or she says she's a transgender.
But she doesn't care. She doesn't care.
She had children.
She
Just don't call her late for dinner.
Right.
She said she conceived her children with breasts.
Yes.
Yeah.
With women.
Yes.
With women.
So going back to what you were saying with the whole confusion, because I get very confused with the whole thing. And I think what happens is, like, going back to what Daphne said, is a human experience. So whatever you're feeling at the moment, if you are a transgender that don't want to deal with, if you're a transgender woman that don't want to deal with men, and you may still want to deal with women, or you may not want to deal with anybody at all, it's just whatever lane you're in. And I think I had mentioned in another show that I think because we put labels on people from when we're babies, at one point, men were not allowed to wear pink. If you went to a party with pink on, you were automatically.
Yeah.
So I think that we got brainwashed as humans from a baby, where a man was not allowed to wear nail polish. I do believe in my heart there are straight men that may like nail polish, and they shouldn't be considered gay.
Rockers have always been doing that.
Exactly.
Look at our rockers and a lot of our hip hoppers from the 80s. Like, even in breaking, look what Ozone and Turbo was wearing.
Yeah.
Look at Africa Bambaataa.
Had on a midriff.
There's no stopping.
They always say Prince was the only one in heels that got women.
Right, but so let's look at it now. So men with full beards, with nail polish and high heels.
And they wear makeup. They wear full makeup with the full beard now.
With a full beard.
But you know what though, ladies? Indirectly, I feel like if I would rather I'd rather see a dude with a beard and full makeup on and say, I'm a straight dude, I just like makeup. But I think what happened is society made these people feel that the only way you can wear that makeup is if you identify with that group and you have to be gay.
I'm a woman that I love sweatsuits, I love sneakers, I love jeans and sneakers. There has been times when my husband and I have gotten into it because he would be like, so you really gonna go out like that? And I'm like, this is how I'm comfortable. Like, dude, I am a tomboy.
That was me all day when I was in my
tomboy.
My early phases.
I'm a tomboy, and I think I will be a tomboy until the day I was that little girl who climbed. I was hopping fences, climbing trees. That was me. I'm older now, and the knees ain't working, so I can't climb them trees like I used to. But as a girl, I sit with my legs open because I'm comfortable that way.
I wear a dress to brunch. I
But I will wear a dress to brunch with heels. Yes, I will.
There was a rapper called Apache, and he had that song "Gangsta."
I remember Gangsta Bitch. Yeah.
And me and my whole crew, we had our
gangster.
We had our baggy jeans,
Uh-huh.
and my aunt could not understand for the life of her what is going on here. Why are you looking like that? Like she couldn't understand.
But I think it all boils down to something that Flame said. She said, when you force feed something to people, they hate it.
Yeah.
So just be.
Yeah, just
like,
be,
just
live. Like, stop trying to have
just
these
be.
titles
just
and
be you and
pronoun things and the she, her, and the they, them, and the he. Like, dude, just live your life. Like I said.
I think that's what has caused because the community has gone from one phase with acceptation, with being accepted.
Okay, and it's like, okay.
And now,
you're accepted.
Now you're accepted, and now it's we went from LGB, LG, right? It was LGBT. It was LG. Then it was it was LGB. Then it was LGBT.
Then it was LGBTQ.
Wait a minute. I'm being totally honest. You lost me after LGBT. Yeah. Don't and forgive my ignorance.
You're not being funny. I know you're not being funny.
Yeah, forgive my but I personally got lost after LGBT, and I try to keep up. But every time I think I got it, something else was added on. Mm-hmm. You know, I watched the girl.
I don't feel like an L. I don't feel like a G. I don't feel like a B. I don't feel like a T. I don't feel like a Q. Oh, well, let me
add. That's why.
Right. I watched it. Wait, Shauna, hold on a second. I watched the actor who was on Orange is the New Black, who's also on Billions. But on Billions, if you watch Billions, she's non-binary.
Non-binary.
You can tell she was born a female, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did she have the red hair?
Her hair's short.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Right.
I know who you're talking about.
I just don't understand, what does non-binary mean?
You're just a human.
You choose
human experience.
You choose not to identify.
Not to choose.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I remember years ago, my girlfriend, we were in high school, and we were in a social studies class, and she rose her hand and she said she hates it where everyone assumes that all Spanish people are Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Do not call every Spanish person you see Puerto Rican, because we're not.
Right.
So I guess because that's a world that we don't understand, it's the same kind of concept.
The equivalent. I think that is what causes so much confusion and question for cisgender people, because
and I just found out I was today's age when I found out that we were cisgender, that I was cisgender.
We're cisgender.
That's like we're
cisgender.
We're cisgender.
So if somebody refers to you as cis,
that means straight.
Oh, I didn't know that.
but again, they said these things about us. Like I wasn't in the room. Like I was like, call me cisgender.
Who put the ballots out and voted on cisgender? I said I wanted to be called cisgender.
Like, where was I?
Boy, let's figure this shit out again.
I would, you know, there are conversations that I've had with people, but then there are conversations that I would like to have with some people. And I don't
like to have this conversation with some of our viewers, or from the transgender or the LGB. I'm skipping the T because I just said transgender, but from the LGBTQIA community.
I would love to be educated.
Yes.
The right way, because I've always been a person that love who you love, as long as you're not molesting children,
right,
hurting children, and
right.
I feel that about everybody.
Right.
Like we've all said, love who you love, but when you start to take away the essence of a woman,
the same way that
and say
they don't want us to take away their experience,
don't take away ours.
Right.
Like,
do you
don't
think
take away
we
mine?
want to have cramps?
That's all.
And we want to go through all of these. I mean, what we go through as women.
But we can I know I can honestly say that I've heard transgender women say that my experience as a woman would never be the same exact experience as yours.
Yes, there are. Yes, they are. There are some.
Yes, but then there are some that just like no.
Like that's like I was talking to someone about that because of the fact that transgenders want to compete with women, like if it's a sporting thing. I'm like, no, that should be separate. No, honestly, I agree with them.
Stronger.
Like, come on, they're like, oh,
that boxer that was transgender and she went up against another. She literally beat
her. I know.
And they're like, oh, but she's taking estrogen. It's gonna equal out.
But that testosterone still lives in you.
I'm sorry, it would never equal out. That's the only thing I disagree with. I'm like, no.
But Kaya, we listened to Flame's live the other day, and Flame was saying, like you're still a man, you're still built, you know. Right. So certain things is the way you move is still gonna be as such, and that's just how he feels.
She said your doctor made poo poo is not the same as God's made poo poo.
Yeah.
the JJ. She's just like your doctor made.
Men could be like, oh, sorry to say, oh yeah, girl, and then you'd be like, Malcolm. You be like, whoa, I can't change my voice. You can't change my voice.
But you know what? These transgenders making us step our game up. That's why the
transgender is the reason. Well, back then it was called drag queen, but they gave us contouring. All of this contouring and all of that.
I learned how to contour by my game.
My old pastor used to say that talk about the scripture that said a woman must not wear men's clothing, nor a man wear women's clothing. For the Lord your God detests anyone who does this. That's in Deuteronomy. And he used to say, well, back when that Bible was written, men was wearing skirts.
Right, exactly.
So all y'all women, take them skirts off.
Exactly.
So that being said, be you.
Yes.
Not infringe upon anybody else's rights. And don't forget, if you like what we discussed, make sure you click subscribe and the bell.
Notification.
Ding, 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 ding. So, my co-host, I want to thank y'all. Keisha, Shana Dawn, Evie and Joe, love you. I'm Kaya. Good night. And now a sneak peek of the premiere of our latest show on the Maven Movement Network. Up for debate. Welcome to the show where 3 generations of family go head to head on a variety of topics. We got one Gen Zer, Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
One millennial, Noe. And one BDB, the baby boomer from Brooklyn, myself. Trademark pending, that's right. No matter what the topic may be, you better believe that it'll be up for debate.
You know what time it is.
You sound stupid.
Yeah. Why everybody always think they want to track somebody? Like, why do we want to know where you're going?
Yeah, what makes you so special?
That's what I'm saying. I think what media does is very specific. Like, it's very calculated because the timing on this is so weird. This has been going on. Why now is it such a big push to change things or shed a light on it? Like, you can't. I feel like everybody's always like, "Oh, let's go in the park and we can be this and that. Oh, we're gonna get $5 billion." There's a reason why he's going to give you $5 billion or $6 billion for your company. Like, we started this. This is what we do. This is what we come from. We're the reason. You don't even know, but we're the reason why you're doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it just
originator,
had that.
But yo, do I hate a perpetrator? But I'm much greater. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
On that track, I was like, that's my miss. Even though you can tell that the spit was going past the lips and onto the mic.
Taking it one tooth at a time.
He's a tooth above the rest. I'm telling you.